Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Off Limits. Our guest today is Yara Abushab. She is a 22-year-old medical student from Gaza. She was a fifth-year student, or is a fifth-year student at Al-Azhar University, and is currently in Italy. She's in Italy because on October 1st, she went there for a 1-month internship. And a week later, all hell broke loose. She's now stranded. She's away from her family. The area where her family and her home is has been repeatedly bombed by these Israelis. Everyone is displaced. And Yara does not know what her future or the future of Gaza is going to be. Yara, thank you for joining us and giving us time in such tense days. Tell me, when you left on October 1st, it must have been with great joy that you went to Italy with a sense of, tell us about that.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here first. Really, like, once I left Gaza, because I knew I'm going to go there for 1 month, so I was ready to collect new memories, to bring new things home, to bring a new culture, to bring new information for the healthcare system in my country, in Gaza. And I lived the best first week. 6 days, they were amazing. Everything was phenomenal. I was talking to my friends and family on repeat. I was able to FaceTime them at any time. And then we all went to sleep on the 6th of October, and suddenly we never woke up to a normal life again. And then a genocide started in Gaza, barbaric bombardment, terroristic attack on civilians made the connection that I have with my friends and parents gone. So I could not contact them properly since the 7th of October.
So what's the kind of tension that you went through? And then when you did make contact with your parents, what did you hear?
The first day was a panic attack for me. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I am born and raised in Gaza. I know what life in Gaza is like. Normal life is difficult. And as a survivor of 5 wars, I understand how these attacks are terrific and how scary. Like, I am 22 and I still get scary by what I see. I can't imagine my younger sister who's 17. I can't imagine what my brother is going through as he's volunteering to help other people in the schools. So when the news first popped and it was like a genocide is in Gaza right now, I of course panicked. I am all alone in another country. I have never been alone. This is my first time traveling alone in my whole life. So it was supposed to be a good experience, and right now it's like I'm starting a new life. Some people say I'm lucky. I don't see that, honestly. If I'm not with my parents, I am worth nothing. So it was very, very, very an emotional roller coaster. I didn't know what to feel. It was just like panicking, tearing, crying, trying to call them. And you panic when it's like there is no network. There's network. And I'm like, how there's no network? Like, it doesn't make sense because I'm not used to this. Because I'm always with them. I have never tried to call them from abroad. So it turns out, yeah, they lost Wi-Fi and the network.
And now, any news about the house? Nobody is in your home. Everybody's out of it, right? Your entire family had to run from there because of the bombardment, or what?
Yeah, my house is originally in the south, which is supposed to be a safe area. And every day I am on the news, and they need to bomb the south, the area where we live, at least 3 times a day. At least. This is like a calm day, a very, very calm day. So they told everyone go to the south, and they bombed and they killed civilians on their way to the south. And then once the civilians reach the south, they bomb them in their houses. And once they bomb them in their houses, they want to go to grocery shopping, they bomb them in the grocery store. So they have been bombardment everyone, and there is no safe place in Gaza. So once the bombardment gets really heavy on our area, my parents need to leave to the school, to the UNRWA school next to the next street, to be a little bit safer. And then they bombarded also an UNRWA school during this genocide. Obviously with the hospital, with the church, with the mosque, a lot of places. So once my family saw that and saw the difficult circumstances in schools, they decided they would stay in our house. And if they're going to die, at least they die with dignity.
Okay. And even the university, Al-Azhar University has been bombed, right?
Yeah. Yesterday, a friend sent me a video of my university, and I was like, "What's this video? What's this?" And he was like, "Yeah, this is the university." And I'm like, "What university?" I mean, I've been to university 5 years. My dad is a professor in the university, so I grew up in that university. I know every single corner. I used to go with my dad because I was so excited to start my university, and I always go since like I was 12 or 13. So long before I even enter medical school. When I saw the video, I was like, I couldn't believe it. Like, this is the place I've lived for the last 5 years. I know corner by corner, and now it's all gone. My faculty is half bombed, half burned. So there is nothing left. Not even a chair is left.
Amazing. You know, you've grown up, you've been in Gaza all your life. You must have been familiar and you must have been scared many times before when the Israelis came in and they have attacked Gaza, you know, several times, at least 5 times in the past 16 years or 20 years. So do you remember, do you have memory? Do you have fear inside you? How does a child survive this?
I knew that I was traumatized the moment I reached Italy, because in Gaza we don't have an airport. So I was very traumatized. I knew that when I saw like a plane passing above me and with the sound, and this sound for me is only related to the bombardment. So I was like, no way. And then it took me like a minute to understand that I am in Italy, I'm not longer in Gaza. And this sound means like tourists are arriving or leaving. And like there's another life outside Gaza, and there's a normal life where electricity is 24/7, not only 6 hours a day in a good day, where water is available 24/7, not one day yes, one day no, and even some places don't get water for days. A place where you have the freedom to travel, the freedom to be educated in another country, the freedom of life, and the rights as a human being. So for me, it was very different, like a kind of a cultural shock, how life was in another world. Like I know, as a medical student, obviously I do a lot of research, but it's different when you are there, when you see them, when you see that life could be very calm, and like the most thing you can worry about is your bus being late and not your university being bombed. So yeah, I assure you, every Palestinian who was born after 2000, or even like in the whole Palestinian history, everyone is traumatized and still affected by the repeated wars and attacks on Gaza.
And you didn't even know. You don't even know. It is the new. It's normal for you, like you said. You know.
Yeah, I know. In Gaza,
yeah.
Sound like this is an F-16. Oh, this is a bombardment. There's different type of missiles that they use. There's one that does like an earthquake, and another one does no sound, but it only bomb like a specific apartment. So why would the world let a child grow up being able to distinguish the sound of missiles? This is not something to show off. This is something to be ashamed of. The children should be able to distinguish between this song and that song, this game and that game, this color and that color, not the sound of missiles. And my first experience with the war was in 2008. I still remember how all my family, relatives, we all gathered in one house. We all stayed in the same living room. It was super crowded, even though the house we have is a little bit like fair enough, like it's large, fair enough, like it was able for 5 people to live there. And we were there about 50, 60 in 2008. I still remember everyone who was in that house. I still remember how I slept with my uncle because he was my favorite. So I always sleep with him because he made me feel safe as a 7 years old. I remember how we used to play and how they used to just make crazy sounds the time of bombardment. So they just disturb us from listening to what's happening. And one day I ran to see on the street there was a bombardment nearby. As I see injured people and I see civilians who have been killed, and I see the doctors how they come in the ambulances to save them. So I asked my mom, these are the doctors, and what do they do for work? And they only save lives. And my mom was like, doctors, Yara, are the best humans in the world because they are the ones who save lives. And since that moment, I knew I will be in medical school. If I was able to survive this war, which was in 2008, I said, this will be my goal, and I will always work to become a medical doctor, a physician.
And then now, how are you reacting to the fact that it's the doctors who did amazing service for the Palestinian and for the community, but it's the doctors who have been targeted and the hospitals that have been targeted by Israel? Does that make you upset, angry? How do you feel, what is your reaction when you started hearing all this?
The moment they bombed the hospital, the moment they bombed Al-Ma'madani hospital was the moment I lost faith in humanity. Because if the world can see more than 1,000 civilians being killed and assassinated, they are purely civilians, and they did nothing but justify this terrorist attack. This was the moment I lost my faith in humanity. And I knew in that moment that Gaza will live a big genocide that we will read in history 30 or 20 years from now, when the Western media will be like, yes, we did something wrong to Gaza, we were not fair. But then it would be late. So that's why I believe that from now we need to talk. From now we need to call for our freedom, for our liberation, for our rights as Palestinians and as Gazans especially, who have been targeted every single, like they cannot have 2 years of peace. And there is a lot of attacks in middle, like randomly, if a person is a little bit near the borders, like not even crossing, just like doing harvest or something, he's being directly targeted. And this is normal life in Gaza. Like this is what we live. So I my family will not let me go alone near the borders, or like, and when I say near the borders, I say like at least 50 to 100 kilometers away from the borders. So it's very difficult to speak and to be able to summarize what life has been for the past 22 years, because I grew up with the stories of my grandparents who had to evacuate Jaffa, where I am originally from, which is now called Tel Aviv. This is where I'm in Gaza. I'm a refugee. And for me, living what my grandparents lived in another country, which is now Italy, I am very happy that at least here in Italy, they welcome me and they were considerate, and that they understand that I am a female, I am a medical student, I am only 22 years old, and I have lived all of this. So they were very welcoming here in Italy. But it's sad to be a refugee repeatedly from generation to generation, like my grandparents and their parents before, and now my parents, and now me, and perhaps my kids. We never know what's going to happen in the future. So it's not fair that Palestinians are distributed all around the world when they have a country.
Tell me, there are two things that come to mind from what you've said. I'll start with the first. You find the targets this time of this Israeli genocide have been, apart from everybody, children, women, the works. In terms of profession, it has been the doctors and journalists. There's also a tendency and an inclination amongst Palestinians to join these two professions, which are very, very important for people under occupation for obvious reasons that you've already said, of how it's the doctors who bring life to continuous attacks on the Palestinians, and journalists who are able to report what is happening and get the news out. So are we right in assuming that Palestinians are naturally, as people who are occupied, drawn into these two professions, and that they obviously are targeting them?
Yeah. This time they're targeting them, and trust me, not only this time, every time they target doctors and journalists, because they are ones are saving and others are reporting, and these are the two important things. And the Israelis themselves, they said that we now have another war in social media, because it turns out all teenagers and the new generation, the next generation, are all pro-Palestinians. So they are fighting and assassinating these journalists because they are the one covering. And now the famous journalists in Gaza are all under target. So at any time they could be assassinated. And then that was not enough for them. So they chose to kill and assassinate the doctors who have nothing, no political view. They don't speak about, what they do is, there's an injured person, they don't even ask about their name. They like help them and aid them, and then they start, yes, what's your name? So they look for their parents. So medical doctors, physicians is the most human field as a Yara and as a medical student. And as I've seen, like, people still suffering from their injuries from 2008, 2012, 14, like previous wars in Gaza. So doctors, me seeing my own doctors I have been worked with, because I always used to go to the hospital because I wanted to learn surgery so bad. So I always go and talk to the surgeons. I know them by heart. I know them. They're close friends to me. And I used to love how nice they are, even though I'm still a medical student and they are like big surgeons, and they still talk to me politely. And they're like, yes, Yara, come learn. You are the ones who are going to be curing the wounds of when we get older. You are the next generation. You are the ones, like, and then everyone will be like, the liberation of Palestine is in your shoulder now. You are the next generation. You need to work for this. You need to save your people as the doctors. And we don't do medicine in Palestine as a form of money. We don't go there because we want the money. We go there because it hurts us so bad seeing our people being hurt, and us having the capability to learn, even though I was very interested in international relations. But as a Yara who had good grades, who was able to study medicine, I chose that field because I'm very passionate about it. And I feel that being able to help one person would make me the happiest person in the world. So imagine being able to help people repeatedly.
Right.
It's very sad, but you know, these attacks right now, they think that they will affect the new generation, so the new generation will not choose medicine and journalism as a degree because they will be very scared. Trust me, this makes Palestinians want to join medicine and journalism even more.
Even more, is it?
Even more.
Okay.
Every day, day by day, what I see in the news makes me open my books and learn more, study more. No university, but I am still opening on YouTube, searching anything that helps.
Well, as someone who has been covering, wars, I covered the Beirut War, I met Yasser Arafat and been very closely connected with the Palestinians per se. There was always this anger years ago also against the Arab world for never supporting the Palestinian cause and allowing it to drift to a point where it's come now. And also now against the world. You know, while a country is actually massacring human beings, children, women, completely leveling a nation, the world has kept quiet and supported it. How is your reaction as a young Palestinian to this?
It shatters my heart, actually. Like, I can't believe people are justifying the assassination of more than 20,000 civilians, and more than half of them are kids. I don't understand how people have the ability to say that number and justify these terrorist attacks. these terrorist attacks that have been on every civilian in Gaza. They don't care you're Muslim, you're Christian. They don't care you're a doctor, you're a journalist. They don't care about anything. They are just trying to kill as much as they can so that the ones that are left will be evacuated from the country by well, because there is nothing left in Gaza. So everyone will leave. There is nowhere safe. They don't have houses anymore, so they will leave to other countries. And this is the Israeli plan, to empty Gaza so they can take it as a new colony for them, and they will establish a port. They are willing to take the port, taking everything. It shatters my heart and breaks it when I see, until today, the Western media is still siding with Israel after all this against criminalization of what they did, of their attacks. Like, they are literally criminals of war. What they are doing is not something that a brain can understand. It breaks my heart, but I am very happy about seeing the marches that are all around the world, and especially seeing that the ones leading them are my generation, the younger people. And I'm very happy to see the Palestinian flags everywhere. Even though they try to fight us and fight our flag, we always have our flags held high. And I was in Rome that other day, and I went to a big march by the end of October. No, not the end of October, sorry, by mid-November. And I talked to the Italian media there. They were lovely. And that one scene when I saw they played a song which is called Unadikum, which means I call on you to stay connected to the land. And me seeing all these flags of Palestine, seeing young people shouting for Palestine, for a free Palestine. That's one scene will always be in my mind. I will never forget it. Made me very emotional. I couldn't stop my tears. I cried hysterically for that one scene. So yeah, there is this and that, you know.
There is the governments and there are the people.
Exactly.
And there is a disconnect, you know. I mean, you've had some of the biggest demonstrations across the world. I don't remember in my memory seeing such huge demonstrations for Palestine. So that's the positive. I mean, in a sad way, it's a positive, you know. Yeah. So what do you think? What do you want now? You would of course want to catch the first plane back to your family.
Exactly.
And that's your, and what do you think and what do you hope will come out of it? A larger
sorry. Yeah.
Carry on.
Now, after I saw that my university was bombarded and the two other universities that teach medicine in Gaza were also bombarded, so there is no capability for me to go back to finish my degree, which I only have the 5th and the 6th. I was supposed to graduate in 2025. So because I want to continue my education to fulfill my life dream of becoming a doctor, I am now trying to continue my studies abroad in any university that would offer to pay my fees, because we lost everything now in Gaza. So we don't have anything able with like money. Like my parents were able to afford me a travel to Rome. Now they don't have bread. So it's very sad, but it is what it is right now. So I need to work very hard. I am looking for scholarships to cover my fees. I'm looking for universities to accept me as a 5th-year medical student. So the plan right now would be to finish my medical degree as a doctor of medicine and general surgery. And then I will go, once I have my degree finished, I will go and help back my people. Because this is why I got to medical school, to help my people. But I need to finish this degree in all forms to be able to give them the right service and then go back.
Great. On that note, and I hope you'll be able to go back soon, and the solutions somehow appear, solutions that have evaded the Palestinians for so long. People who we all admire, have deep respect for, great admiration for, and people who we've always considered to be what we as journalists call the secular Arabs, the Arabs who have perseverance, commitment, courage, honesty, a very different breed. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to have been able to speak to you, Yara, and I hope we will keep in touch.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure. Thank you.